Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That's bad for you, bloke. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to. Well, I'll say it's bad. I've got tea, but it's cold. It's been here for about 3 hours.
It is bad for me, but I had like the worst night's sleep ever last night,
You know
so
what?
I
had a
need
bad
the
night's
energy.
sleep. Welcome to the pubcast, anyway. The Unit Lost Pubcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is our little kind of like mini offshoot from Hotfix, where if you remember at the start of Hotfix, we used to speak about games that we played in the week and that type of stuff. But we're not going to do that anymore on Hotfix, because Hotfix is laser focused on its news topics. So this
What was that?
It's from the 80s. So it was whatever. So this is the little offshoot thing, and we're just going to talk about what we've played. And apparently, Mr. Kirioth has had a bad night's sleep. I've also woke up with a massive headache, and I'm like,
Have you had coffee?
Well, I
yet?
say woke up. Yeah, but it was
Because
a few hours ago.
oh right, okay. Because I swear
no
you're
effect.
like properly caffeine dependent at this point. Because if you wake up with a headache, then you have a coffee every day, but then you have a coffee, then it means your headache goes away. That's what.
It's that
happens to most
coffee
people.
machine. I never used to drink coffee like that though, until I got
know.
that goddamn Dolce Gusto thing, and I'm just like,
Yeah, but then
"Ugh."
I had coffee at yours because you gave me one, and then I immediately went out and bought one. So now I drink coffee all the time as well.
And then
It's really
first
bad.
first
I
thing
didn't
you
even
give
like
me
coffee.
when I come over to your place the other day was one of them fucking coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta keep. We needed it to keep us going through that epic long 40k game.
Oh yeah, we should probably speak about that first. So before we get into the games that we've actually played,
It is a game we've played though.
It is a
so
game,
It ties in. Works.
kind
Works
of.
that.
It's 40k now. The tabletop 40k. There was no points value in this game because we just wanted to get to grips with the rules. Because I'd never played the game before. Kiri played it so long ago. The rules.
The rules are like completely different. I played it. I think in maybe 3rd edition, maybe
Is it
going
7th
into
edition
4th.
now?
It's like 7th edition now. When I played it, I had 9 warriors army to start with, and I played it just at the time that the Necron Codex, the very first one, was released, where like all of their metals were model except for the troops, and they had like no unit choices, and they were a bit OP, but that's when I played it, and that was in like
They're OP now. They're bastards.
I want to say maybe 2003, 2004 was when
Yeah.
I first started, and I played it a lot back then. But then there's been like a 10-year gap. So now when we were playing, I'm like, okay, so this is how this used to. No, that's not how it works anymore. It's like that for pretty much everything.
We had what we were trying to do was just get to grips with like how to go through the phases and stuff. So I basically brought all the units that the models I painted. Kiri did the same thing. We just chucked them on the table because we've got a load of terrain because a local store by me closed down, which is actually kind of a sad story because I was walking past one day when I was going to get my haircut, which I need to get my haircut now because it's absolutely out of control. I didn't realise it was closing down, and I went in there and I said, "Hey, I didn't realise you were here. I've been ordering stuff off the internet, off these discount sites." To which he made a comment about how they're terrible and they ruin him. Which, you know, if it's the cheapest place and it can be delivered to your door, then I guess that's what happens. But anyway, I said, "So what's going on?" And he's like, "Closing down." I was like, "Oh. Wow, I've just come in and told this guy I want to get into it, but he's closing down." But then, after a conversation with the chap, because he had a load of they had tables set up in the store, he had this massive box of Imperial ruins scenery, and a lot of it was like Shrine of the Aquila, and there's a Mechanicum style build.
There's so much stuff in there. It's like a massive cardboard box. It's downstairs on my dining room table, and when I was taking it out, like every time I took a piece out, I was like, okay, I must be running out now. It just kept coming.
We've just got loads. Well, what I'm saying is we've just got loads of terrain, like loads, so we can, and we get a nice battle mat, and we can make it look pretty good. But anyway, we were just trying to play it, and we were getting like things like. Well, I'll give you one example. So I've got Vanguard veterans, right, which I know are a stupid unit because they're horrendously expensive. In fact, the way mine were kitted out, there are about 285 points of Vanguard veterans, which is like for that's ridiculous for what they are. Okay. I deep struck them, okay, which was correct. That was correct, okay. Then I attempted to charge a unit with them, which we thought was okay. Then we thought was wrong, but it turned out it was okay because Vanguard veterans can actually assault after deep striking. It is a special rule they've got, right? But any other unit could not do that. So Terminators, if they deep struck, they could not go and assault somebody, but they could shoot somebody. But they can't move, but they can shoot.
But they can't move in the movement phase. That's what we discovered. They can't move in the movement phase.
But they can
in the
run.
shooting phase, they can shoot or they can run.
Yeah.
But they can't charge and assault people.
Yeah.
So But it's like, this is what it was like basically for the entire game. It was like, right, we're going to do this. How do we do that? Get the rule book, and then we just sit there, look through the rule book. Yes, that works. That works. We had the thing with the vehicles as well, where we thought it went a bit too simply, and then it turned out we were like missing out a huge part of the vehicle combat. But the thing is, now that we know that stuff, we just you just know it now. Like with the vehicle stuff, like working out damage to vehicles, it's actually really simple. As soon as you learn it, it's just there and you remember.
And things like the to hit chart. In fact, like this starts to become like you just know. Like you reel off like, oh, toughness 4. You kind of know. Like you've got like, I don't know if you guys can see this on the webcam, but if you look at that there, maybe it comes into focus. Well, it's back to front, but that's the 2 hit chart. So what you're looking at there is the target's weapon skill against the attacker's weapon skill, and you kind of play them off, and whatever that figure is what you need to roll equal to or above for it to hit, and all this stuff. But I think we're getting grips to it, and we're getting to grips with it, and it would be, I don't think it'll be long before we'll be confident enough to sort of play an actual proper game, because there's loads of stuff we missed out. Like we didn't use any kind of like mental special HQ units. I mean, Kirby's got his crazy HQ guy set up. The only one I had available at the time was the chaplain. But like Kiri's unit had a ton of special rules. He could change his weapon, and it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It would be a nightmare to work out. We didn't use chapter tactics. We didn't use warlord traits. There was just loads of stuff we didn't use. But I think in time we'll get pretty good at it. Anyway, Mr. Kirioth, I'm going to start with what I've been playing this week, because I've been playing loads of stuff. Now, I think the kind of first thing I played this week, I guess, or about a week ago, was Attila. Total War Attila. Now,
oh yeah, you did it on the stream, didn't you?
In fact, all of my games have been on the stream. So if you've seen the stream, you'll know what games I've played. But you'll get to listen to my kind of opinions of it now. I was quite surprised. I knew what Total War was. Okay, I've pissed around on Total War titles, but that single stream play session of about it was over 4 hours. That's the longest I've ever played a Total War game for in one sitting. In fact, altogether, if you combine all of my other previous experience together. I very quickly played Shogun 2 when that came out. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just was like, okay, I didn't really take interest in it. This, though, I can see why people like Total War games, because it's much more than just the battle. You know, it isn't just like the battle and that's it. There are bits of diplomacy, which is a bit basic. There's other bits of stuff, but I think from my experience of playing the game, I understand now why people like Lionheart and whatever have so successful YouTube channels based on the Let's Plays, because you can literally, like, something different can happen every single time, even if you start as the same faction, because I think you get a set amount of time to play the game. Like, I think it ends at 400, just the year 400, which I think is like whatever point you're at then, that's just how it ends. So obviously you can try and see how far you can expand. You can, like, I was playing as the Caledonians, so it was the Scottish. The Britons were not actually a faction, but they did appear on the map, because they've been taken over by the Romans, haven't they? Because it's like the fall of the Roman Empire.
Oh yeah.
So the West Roman Empire has got like Londinium and all the other places in Britain, but they're severely depleted because their empire's collapsing. So it's like the rise of the Celts. Like, so obviously I'm kind of part of the Celts, I guess, being the Caledonians. Then you had the Irish Celts, and then you had the guys even further north. I think it was the Picts or something like that, even further north than me. But I went on like this crazed rapid expansion spree because I was just a warmongering madman. Went straight down, smashed the first, I smashed the first city to pieces and took it. And it come up with options. It's like, what do you want to do? Give it back to the faction it belonged to, which was the Britons. So this would make the Britain faction, you know. But I didn't, because I was like, no, this is mine. So I just took it. So that became part of my Caledonian Empire. And then I carried on like on the warpath, just like wasting everyone. I went to North Wales and all over the place, took Londinium, captured it all. Because I was so aggressive, the Picts, I'm pretty sure it was the Picts, but the guys above me were like, shit, this guy's on his, we'll be allies with you. And they were like, they wanted to be friendly with me because they could see I was angry. And I was angry. My empire was in ruins though, because I'd expanded way too quick. Like literally within 3 years, I'd conquered Britain or something ridiculous. It was like, Christ. But then on the map, I think it was the Irish guys actually took one, like, let's say Birmingham. They took Birmingham, right? But gave it to the Britons. So it was a British, I was like, what the fuck? So it was a new faction on the map, right? But then rebels would appear, like British rebels would appear and start attacking my, like, their cities, which I've taken off the Romans and took for me, because obviously they're a bit angry because it was their city and I've just taken it. But if I'd given it back to them, they'd be my ally. And like I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this seems like I could get into this. Of course, like when I get into the whole like battle scenario, I just capitulate because my battle tactics for these armies,
Charge
yeah, it's like I sit there and I'm like, okay, I put the wrong units at the front. I wasn't entirely sure what the units did because I'm gonna cheekily blame the stream. It would be really boring if I was to sit there and read through statistics and what the units did, which you would do if you were playing.
Well, yeah, I
Rome.
mean, with
so I
with
was like,
that kind of game, it's like you have to, don't you? But you can't
yeah.
just sit there and spend like 3 hours reading unit descriptions and like going, well, I've already got 4 of those, so ideally we could use something to flank. You just want to like play the game, don't you? So
Yeah, but it was disastrous. Like a massive Britain army came in from North France. They must have like ran away there when the rope, like they must have been like with the Saxons or something, but they came, bloke, and it was massive, and they took Londinium, and I was like, oh god, like I didn't expect that. So like I got both my armies to come down and fight them, and we had this massive fight, and it was quite good because like I had more units on the field, I think, than they did to begin with, but when the reinforcements arrived, their reinforcements were like massive. Like mine were pretty good, but theirs were massive. But
yeah,
the way the battle played out was really crap for me because they had like cavalry and stuff, and I had like I had like spearmen who could like waste the cavalry, but like everyone was all in crazed positions, and it was just like a massive mess. And like eventually I just died. You know, like they I think I suffered something stupid like 2,000 casualties, and they suffered quite a lot of casualties, but they won. So that's what that matters.
Yeah.
And I had no army, and it's like, oh crap. But I like, you know what? I genuinely do want to play the Total War games where I didn't really want to play them before. I mean, Attila, it ran quite well. I mean, you got to think I was streaming this as well at 1080p at 60 FPS and playing the game, and I was still getting
that takes a toll.
well, yeah, I was still getting 60 FPS in the battles, and most of the time on the overworld map, apart from when like you selected an army and a little faint glow appeared around the army, the FPS would tank to about 15. I'm like, what? You know, it had like random things like that, which
yeah.
I kept moaning about because which was you know, the Total War guys were actually in the stream because it was like the biggest Total War stream at the time, and I pinged them over Twitter and they came and had a look and they were answering some questions, which was quite nice. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's got little iffy bits like that, but at least it worked. Whereas like Rome 2 did not.
Well, I mean, the last Total War game I properly played was Shogun, like the first.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, it was Shogun Total War, the very first one, and I sunk so many hours into that game. I really enjoyed it, but for some reason I just never carried on playing them. It's like I think I must have discovered maybe like RPGs or something around then, because I just didn't go back to the Total War series. But again, like you, I was like, I've got Rome 2 actually installed. Well, not installed, but in my Steam account.
Yeah.
It was such a disaster when it launched, and so much stuff didn't work that it kind of put me off. But I have to admit, I've kind of been looking at Lionheart stuff occasionally for Attila after he came onto Hotfix the first time and talked about it, because I was like, I used to like this game. Maybe I should take a look at it. I'm actually getting quite tempted to give it a try because it's the Total War games. For me, it's like a really good mix of kind of, I guess, Civ style management and like proper massive battles. That's what I liked about Shogun anyway. The fact that it was kind of a good mix of everything. And I can't really think of that many games that you get that kind of that big map experience complete with, you know, like small battle experience. It just, yeah,
well, I can only think of one, and that's the King Arthur games from Paradox, and they're pretty old now. But yeah, like the management aspect isn't that detailed, to be fair. The battle thing is the best part of the game. Like that's just hands down the best. You know, the fact that you're going in and having a massive fight. But what I did notice is a lot of the time you just auto resolving battles because you know you're going to win. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? And there comes a point where there's only actually one like battle. Like there was one pivotal moment in the 4 hours or so I played where this guy had a massive army. I think it was fairly equal. It was slightly in his favour, but because I wasn't very good, like I lost because my tactics were bad. But the entire like playthrough depended on that. Like after that, there was such a massive like enemy force. They would have just consolidated what they've got and then came up to me, and I couldn't have stopped them. You know, it would have just been like, maybe I could have done if I got them involved in some sort of you know, with them by one of my castles or something. We could have like a massive fight, and maybe I could use the defense in my favor. But you know, it just seems like it does kind of rest on like this big pivotal moment where that's the end of you, or this is where you win. and I become too strong. Kind of like, I guess, like Civ, where it's just like I'm so powerful now, nobody can touch me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm tempted to give it a try because I did used to like Total War, but it's another one of those things where I kind of there's a lot of games to play, and I don't know whether I want to get sucked into something that would take like that much time. Because if you're going to play it properly, then you're going to have to sink quite a bit of quite a few hours into it.
That's a good thing to talk about. That is, because the whole like I've been having a little bit of a renaissance period with the stream. You okay?
And he's blooming nose. No.
Oh. I'll mute you. I've muted him. Chat. I always say that when I've got OBS. Guys viewing the podcast, the Unit Lost Pubcast. I have muted him. Okay, I've unmuted him now.
It was the double mute. I went for the mic mute as well. Hey, Fever Man, it is bad times.
I don't get that, shockingly. So, yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, I'm having a bit of a renaissance period with gaming in general because of the stream. Like, with me streaming at practically 4 p.m. every day, it gives me a chance to just sit down and play games. And as weird as that sounds, like, it's been quite a long time since I've really done that. It's still not the same. It's still not the same as, like, if I really did want to sit down tonight and play Total War Attila, then I would do so with myself, and I would not be providing commentary. I would be trying to work out how to play the game. It would be not very good from a viewer's perspective because you kind of do have the crossover. I mean, when me and you were doing the late night World of Warships streams,
I like those.
That's very much just like we're just playing the game and just talking whatever. If you want to watch, you can watch. But in my eyes, that's not like the mainstream thing. So like, I don't really care that it's that bad. But I guess you could say, well, maybe that it just doesn't matter that it has to be a stream thing anyway. You can just be like so off the bloody cuff. It just doesn't matter. But it is an interesting thing, that is, with especially YouTubers and stuff, where your hobby is sort of your business, but you kind of get to the point where you have to spend so much time. No, you change the way you approach your hobby because you're now making something off the back of it for other people who are interested in that to enjoy you watching it, you playing it, which makes it very different. Like, I can't just sit there like this.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of finding, especially at the moment, where it's like I want to try and do like at least one Steam gift gamble a week, for instance. Now, someone sent me a game today. I know it's new. Because I saw someone send me a chat message over Steam saying, "I'm going to send you this. You're going to love it. Lol." And I was thinking, no, I'm not.
Lol.
But as soon as I found it, I installed it, and there was a thing that said game will be fully released in a few hours under recent news. So this is like brand new. I don't know anything about it. Hardly anyone plays it. I know that it's going to be rubbish. I'm going to play it, but it's kind of like I kind of feel like in terms of actually gaming for the sake of gaming, it happens not that often, and I'm kind of picking very carefully what I actually play, because like I wouldn't normally play this game, whatever it is. I'm assuming that someone sent me. Like, I don't know what it is, but if I've never heard of it before and it's only just coming out, the chances are it wouldn't be something that I'd pick up. I don't tend to sit there and like look at Steam and go, okay, what's just been released that I can play, because we have plenty of press emails, there's plenty of stuff going on that I know about that would interest me. So it's kind of like I spend time setting up, I spend like however long recording, then I spend longer than that editing and encoding, which means that actually the whole playing games for the sake of playing them, that's kind of been not pushed back, but like there's like a time slot in the day where I do it, and I'm very careful as to what I actually pick. Like at the moment, I want to get better at my guitar, so the game I'm playing the most is Rocksmith, because that's like a double purpose. I really enjoy playing the game, and it's helping me learn my guitar more. But it's like of the like maybe 2 to 3 hours that I want to spend playing on any given day, a specific game, it's probably going to be that. So I'm kind of at the point now where I would kind of like to just like take a day or something and just like pick a game and go, today I'm playing this. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's sort of like the stream can do that to a point. Like, I mean, with me, with the stream out there, it is kind of okay to do that, and it is enjoyable to like share the experience with the people watching. But like, if I fancied playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive, for example, I know that if I stream that, it would be like it wouldn't be that interesting for the people watching, because it would be me really. It'd be like StarCraft 2 or anything like that, games which I've played in the past, where it starts making me get competitive. I'm not really. It's not an enjoyable experience for the viewer, I don't think. But like, I mean, when we played I came over your place and we messed around with the 40k stuff. That was enjoyable. That was something which is just totally unrelated to anything. That was just doing it for the sake of it, and it is refreshing to do things like that. But I just think that like it kind of is a bit of a curse of the old gaming YouTube, where you do, you play games. You play games so much, and you're so focused on like producing stuff off the back of the games, you kind of like not lose focus sometimes, but you sort of get a bit like it becomes a bit hard to relax sometimes if that's how you were relaxing. It's like the age old thing of I should record everything.
Yeah.
When I was playing Skyrim, this is a good example I've got. When I was playing that, I was recording everything in Skyrim. This was years ago when it came out. And I wasn't so much playing the game that much. I was just recording everything. And I didn't, I was recording it just in case something crazy happened and I could make a video, because back in the day, I was an idiot and didn't know what I was doing on YouTube. But, that was bad. Like, I kind of did it with Dark Souls 2 as well on the PS3, where I was recording all of it. And in fact, I made like a 35 plus part Let's Play of that, episode-wise, because I was just recording it as I played it, and I uploaded that to the channel. It didn't do very well after about 6 episodes, so I stopped. So it was a waste of time. Like, I should have realised that that's not what people want to watch. I'm not a professional Souls player. Like, there's loads of them on YouTube, but I sat down and did that, and it kind of impacted on my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's like when we played GTA. Was it last week or the week before? And we were trying to get into the military base just to see if we could steal a tank. Like, partway through that, as I was scrubbing through the recording, because I recorded all of it, it wasn't like we didn't set out to do something that was worthy of being recorded. It was just, I thought I'd record it in case something funny happened, which a lot of funny stuff did. But I actually found a bit in the video. I was like, I asked I think it was you were singing along to whatever the radio station you had on. And I was like, oh, what station's that? I haven't even got one on because I'm recording. I was like, but I don't really like driving without it. And at that point, I mean, you just said, oh, screw it, just turn it on. And I was like, as soon as I turned it on, my enjoyment of the game went up like 10%. Because driving around in silence is not what you do in GTA. Like, you've always got a radio on or something. There's always some sort of background noise. And we were doing like a massive, like 6 or 7 mile drive. And like for half of it, I had no radio, so it was just the sound of the car. And I hadn't realised until I turned it back on, that I was like, now it feels like I'm just playing the game. Because up until that point, it felt like I was kind of recording it. And then as soon as I did what I do normally, then it felt like I was playing it again. And I've got stuff saved from that, but it's like...
Well, I ain't got nothing against that. I ain't got nothing against just recording it if you're playing it. But like, I should have been a bit clearer. Like, what I was saying is I was playing the game with the intention of recording it. Not like, oh, I'm just recording it and I'm getting on doing whatever. I was like I'm going to do this, that, and it was not that good. I mean, like, but the late night streams we were doing, I mean, let's talk about World of Warships. We both played that this week.
I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be playing it if I wasn't streaming it. I'd play it a little bit, I think, then I would stop, but I am enjoying that game.
Yeah, it kind of,
more
to me,
so
it feels like a less grindy kind of.
Well, it's
quicker...
less grindy because it's in beta, so everything's sped up.
Yeah.
So you've got to remember that. Like, we're unlocking ships really quick and all of that stuff because it's beta and it's faster. But I mean, what do you think about that? Like, compared to World of Tanks? Like, why are you not playing World of Tanks?
I much prefer it to World of Tanks. I think partially it's the setting. Like, I didn't realise until I actually played it that it kind of it's scratching an itch I didn't realise I had. Like, I really like the setting, and I think they've done a very good job with kind of, I guess, the way the ship's handled, the way they fire, just everything about it, especially like the damage model and stuff. That's something like, I like naval action, but something I don't like in naval action is the comparative lack of damage model. Like, I realised that in World of Warships, all it is just like a bit of an overlay on the skin that shows like a hole with like a glowing bit inside. But that still, to me, feels more satisfying than just like a bit of splintered wood. So that kind of makes a bit of a difference. But that is changed
on naval action. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But it's like, at the moment, it's like I'm kind of
preferring
that. Yeah. But it's also, the speed of it is better.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of time in World of Tanks where I feel like I'm travelling somewhere and then not doing very much. And
then instantly die.
And then instantly die, yeah. It kind of feels like I can make one mistake in World of Tanks and I'll just instantly die, and everything I've just done is completely pointless. Or like I'll be trying to get a good shot on someone, and then my gun's gone, or I die, or I can't maneuver anymore because I've been shot in the track or something. I don't get that from World of Warships. I think it's a combination of the fact that pretty much all the ships have obviously got more than one weapon. So if you do lose a weapon, that's kind of unlucky. If you lose two, that's very unlucky. I've never once been playing that game and found that I couldn't fire something at somebody. I've never once had that happen. In terms of like massive damage, I think the only time I've come close to being insta-killed was when I got hit 3 times at close quarters by a... What was it called? It was begins with an N. Nagato? Something
or something like that.
Yeah. It was like it's a battleship that's like 2 tiers above mine. And 2 of the shots were Citadel shots. So, like, I died very quickly. It wasn't instant, it was very quickly, but it was also very lucky, and I was in a stupid position.
I've done that. Again, I've taken that, and I've done that. When I was streaming it with Slideshow, the first time I played it, he said to me, "You should play this game. It's pretty good." And he told me to play naval action, so I believe what he says. And I got hit, but I don't know what it hit me, but it hit me in the Citadel, and it critted, and I took like about 26,000 damage and instantly died because I was in a cruiser which didn't have much hull. But I've also shot somebody with the Miyagi, or whatever it's called, the Mr. Miyagi, as I call it, whatever that battleship is, and it was like a really long range shot. It was like all batteries fired and hit it, and it instantly killed it. It come up like Citadel hit, and that was like 28,000 plus damage. I was like, but that's really lucky.
It's rare, isn't it? It's rare.
What gets me is the map size as well. It's a much bigger map, right, than World of Tanks, but it doesn't seem like that because the range of engagement is so big. So you're smashing each other straight away. In World of Tanks, the maps, while they're smaller, seem way bigger because it's harder to spot other tanks. And when they're like miles away or people are hidden in bushes, and it's, I don't know. I really don't know. But the game, to me, the warships, the fact they're boats, on paper, I think I prefer tanks more than ships, right? But after playing World of Warships, just the way it works, I'm like, this is quite good. Because you can take a beating, can't you? Like, you can get smashed and you're still going. It's like you're not dead instantly unless you're very unlucky.
And a part of it, I think, is the scale as well, because it feels like a massive battle. Like, I know in World of Tanks, it's like some fights do feel like, this is a big engagement. For me, every fight I've had in World of Warships has felt like a massive battle. Yeah. And I think it's purely down to like the scale and the distance involved. Instead of like driving something round that's got like 3 or 4 crew members, you've literally got a battleship. It's like, it's a massive, massive ship, and you're firing at other massive ships that are like 10 kilometers away. And when you, like, especially when you land a shot from that far away, it's so satisfying. Like, it really is. It's kind of like, if it's at the very edge of your gun's range and you land it, that's kind of, I've never really had that much of a satisfying shot in World of Tanks where I've fired something off, hit someone from a great distance away and gone, yes. But when it happens in World of Warships, I think also because of the spread that the cannons give too.
Yeah, it's not accurate, is it?
It's not accurate. So it's like you have to really, really like pinpoint where it's going to land, or hopefully going to land. So when you do get that, it's like that little rush of, I've done something. And it just kind of, the way it escalates as well, I like the fact that you end up with these like kind of fairly, I say close combat. It's like ships can still be like 3 kilometers away, and that's pretty much classed as close in that game. But it just turns into like a brawl. But it's not a brawl where you go in and immediately sink. It's a brawl where everyone's giving and taking damage constantly, and it's like through being able to dodge and get into a decent position and pull off good shots that you win, as opposed to he shot me in the front arm at a lucky angle, so I died. And
the only thing that worries me about it is that there is a mod which does predict where you need to fire, because the way that the weapons work in the game is you don't have to. There's no like elevation. You don't have to like loop the shots in. All you do is lead them in, because obviously it's a cannon, isn't it? It's like got massive power when it fires. So you have to like, if their ship's coming along sort of like here, you have to like predict where they're going to be at that moment in time. So you can't fire at them because, well, they won't be there anymore. So because they're like 10 kilometers plus away. So you need to predict them. If you get it right and you hit them, it's like, But there is a mod which brings up a target reticule thing where you can aim at that, and that's like. And Wargaming have said they're not too bothered about that, because after a few games you'll get to know where to fire anyway, which is kind of true. But I'll tell you now, from my experience, and I've played quite a few games of this now, if a ship is not going parallel, so it's like zigzagging or something, it's very difficult to hit.
It is a lot harder,
especially from range. And if you've got that mod and it compensates from that, then that's kind of cheating to a sense. But would the game develop to a point where that is required? Because if everyone's using that, you can't then not use it because you'll just get wiped out. Especially when everyone's really good at aiming, you know.
I really would hope that they do something about it, because it's if you're going parallel to someone and you fire off a shot and miss, that's because you haven't aimed properly.
Yeah,
like it's not difficult to hit shots. You might have to do like a ranging shot first, which is, you know, you're going to be doing that as you start playing the game anyway. But eventually you'll just get a feel for it. But if a ship is going at like an angle, like 9 kilometers away, you really, really have to. You have to be actually good to hit it. And I don't like the idea that someone
a bit of luck as well, because a bit of luck as well because
of the spread. But I don't like the idea that someone can just go and download something and skip the part where you have to be good.
Yeah.
Do it, because that kind of defeats the point of the.
See, because like half the game is shooting,
PvP
half the
nature of
game is like the maneuvering of the ships. When you've got like
Yeah.
the way the ships work, you get destroyers which are extremely fast, and they are like they've got minimal cannon armament, but they've got torpedoes that do a lot of damage. So they're like anti-battleship vessels because they're really quick. And battleships, it's very difficult to target a destroyer with a battleship. If you do and fire, you'll most likely kill it in one hit. You will like blow it away because it's got no armor. You know, if you're firing AP shells at it, well, I mean, you would fire HE at it to make them burn, but you would generally kill them. But you got such a long reload time and such a long, like, you know, turning arc and God knows what. You know, you turn a circle so big, it's very difficult to aim at them. Then you've got cruisers, which are the next class up, which are kind of like medium skirmishers. They're quite good at taking on battleships because you can fire really quick, so you can adjust for your targeting.
Yeah,
they're much better at shooting destroyers because again you can adjust really quick and keep firing. You do get some like hybrid cruisers. I think I've got the Phoenix for the United States, which has torpedoes on it, which is actually pretty good because it means in like cruiser to cruiser fights you got like quite a big advantage because you can hit them with torpedoes, and sometimes they don't expect it. They're like, oh shit, because people expect torpedoes from the destroyers, like especially at my level. And then obviously the tier you get is the battleship, which is, well, it's designed for cruiser long range engagement, and it's also good at taking on other battleships and taking on aircraft carriers, but not very good at destroyers. And they do have the biggest guns, the longest reload time, yada yada yada. Then you get the aircraft carriers, which I've not played as yet, but I've seen a guy stream as an aircraft carrier. And it's like a totally different game. It's like you're an aircraft carrier. You spawn various different aircraft, and I think you can build yourself to spawn like more fighters or more bombers or more torpedo bombers, and then you have to go around controlling the ships, the aircraft like on the map. So it's like a little RTS game, and you've got to obviously try and avoid enemy fighters, try and like get attack runs on certain ships and stuff. So I've not played as that, but it is kind of an interesting different take on it.
It looks like a kind of almost like an artillery equivalent from World of Tanks, where it's like a completely different play style to the rest of it. Instead of like going into the thick of the battle, you by the very nature of it, you have to stay back. And there's also, I've seen on the subreddit that there's like basically an entire role that I haven't really seen being filled yet. I'm assuming just because we're on lower tiers.
Yeah.
Where like it gets to the point where you have to have like anti-air ships around the aircraft carriers, because it gets to the point where they're being swarmed by bombers and torpedo bombers and stuff, and that would kind of be. I'd kind of be interested to take a look at that as well, because there's kind of an element in that of kind of support playing, I guess, which I do like playing the support, but it's like in World of Tanks, for instance, I never really found the role of support or anything like that. If there's something that can do that kind of thing in World of Warships, that would keep my interest for a bit longer as well, to be honest. But I mean, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I ever did World of Tanks. World of Warplanes was just not very good. So I didn't play it.
Well, I mean, World of Warships is arcadey if you compare it to... Well, I mean, it's a wargaming game, so they are arcadey, especially compared to like naval action or something. But, like even little things like... You've got autopilot in World of Warships where you can just bring up the map, click, 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 and then focus on your shooting. Naval action could kind of benefit from that because you spend a lot of the start of the game, especially when you're just like going into a PvP fight, just sailing towards each other, and it's like 5 minutes of nothing, and then you start firing. It's like, but that title's in early access, so it could develop. So, Mr. Kirioth, what have you been playing then? What else have you been playing?
Oh, the other thing I've been playing is I played Dirt Rally a bit more after I made the video. because I'm
I seen
strangely.
a comment and some guy was like, "Oh, follow cam. You ain't no sim gamer. Follow
He's
cam,
right. I'm
mate."
not. I was like, that's the only way I could learn how to control the goddamn car. I've always been an arcade racer. Like I like racing games, but it's always been arcade stuff. It's been like Need for Speed and like some of the previous Dirt games, like Dirt Showdown. We did a video for that on the channel, and I was quite good at that game. I don't really do like Sims. Like we've got copies of Assetto Corsa, for instance,
Oh
which
Christ! Jesus
I keep
Christ!
meaning to load that up and try to actually play it because that again, it's a sim. It's not like it's a racing sim. It's not an arcade racer in any way, shape, or form. And Dirt Rally is very similar. So having played it and found that I was not very good at it, it's actually still really enjoyable. Like there's a lot of attention to detail in there that I really like the co-driver giving you directions and so on.
Yeah,
I
I quite
really
like that, the
like
way
that.
he's constantly talking to you. Well, he would be, wouldn't he, in a
Yeah.
rally? So
And they've put so much kind of attention to detail into the cars as well and the engine sounds, and they're obviously working to make it kind of as close as the real rallies they can get it. That it kind of makes me want to get better at the game. So I've been
do you
playing
think
it a
it
bit
fucked
more.
you up not having an actual steering wheel, pedals, and
I
things?
think honestly, I think for that game you need
Yeah.
it. Like I tried to play with keyboard, which didn't really work because someone on the comments said, "Oh well, you just need to do micro corrections." Well, yeah, that's what I was doing, and that's what I do in arcade races because I play with the keyboard in arcade races. But micro corrections on an arcade game mean that it doesn't like it registers the fact that the wheels are turning, but it doesn't have the same effect because all the physics are off. It's instead of it just throwing the car to the left or right, you'll go into a power slide, or it'll
Yeah.
only adjust the course of the car slightly. In a real car, if you micro correct by slamming the steering wheel to the left, full tilt, your car's going to go off the fucking road. That's what's going to happen. And so in Dirt Rally, if you micro correct by holding the A or D keys down for just like even a nanosecond too long, congratulations, you've driven off a cliff because that's how it works. It's a sim. It's not an arcade racer. So instead, I tried to use this thing,
Yeah.
and it worked a lot better. Admittedly, it did work a lot better. When I recorded the video, I used this, but I found I was still doing the same thing. Like when I was trying to correct with the steering, instead of like
Just tap
turning it just a little bit, I was going like that, which is doing exactly the same thing as it was on the keyboard. So,
Yeah.
but I've gotten better with that now. Like I'm actually using it to steer gradually instead of completely. If you look at when we play, if you look at like GTA 5 videos on the channel, I'm not a bad driver in GTA 5 because it's arcade racing.
Yeah.
I'm not a good driver on Dirt Rally because it's completely opposite. But it's genuinely like a fun game. I don't usually like games where you're only playing like by yourself.
Well, I thought like with that game, I was like, oh Jesus Christ! The first thing I've seen is it's in early access. This is a joke, Why is that game in early access? It's a AAA developer. It's Codemasters. What the fuck? So I just like straight away I was negative towards it. But I know that you prefer races to me, so you took a look at it, and as you say, it's actually quite a good game even in this state.
All it is. It's just waiting. It's just waiting for content. That's all it is. I mean, from what I could tell, the physics for the cars was pretty much dead on. The tracks that I played were absolutely fine. The only issue I had was that occasionally, and it was only very occasionally, using the follow camera, it would occasionally like spaz out, like it would
Yeah.
get caught on a bit of scenery. But it's in early access, so stuff like that is going to happen occasionally. And also, most people, if they want a rally sim, they're not going to be using the follow camera. Like once I've got used to controlling the car, I'll switch to in-car view so I can play it properly. I'm only using the follow camera because at the moment it's the best way to judge turns and stuff. But for people who are actually going to look at this game and buy it based on what it is, which is a rally sim, the follow camera being a bit off on like one turn out of 50 is not going to be a big issue to begin with because they're never going to use it.
It's just like it's like a whole other world to me though, because you get the people who will be really into race sims, and they'll be able to
with like
horrendously detail, like, oh, this doesn't handle right, this isn't like this, blah blah blah, and I guess that's what that game's going to live and die by, not by what you think or something like that. But I don't know actually, because dirt games, they've never really been sims, have they? So
no, they do tend. They've always been high quality though. It's like they might not have done like a proper full on sim from what I can remember before, but they've always been like dirt games have always been very very reliable. I guess
Yeah.
there's never been a low quality dirt game, and I don't know how accurate the cars are, but I will say from my experience they all feel completely different. Like the cars in the different classes. For instance, if you go obviously like the 2010 cars are faster than the 1960s, but the way they handle is completely different as well. Because 1960s cars, the Mini Cooper S is front wheel drive, and it really shows that it's front wheel drive. If you go from that and then go to like a 90s four wheel drive, then it's like playing a different game.
Quattro or something in it.
Yeah, it's like playing a completely different game. They've put a lot of effort into making each car. I don't know how realistic they feel compared to driving one, and I think honestly most people wouldn't know anyway.
Yeah.
But in terms of how different they feel to each other, they've absolutely nailed it, because it's like I really struggled because I tried the campaign to begin with, which was probably a silly idea, and it starts you off in the 1960s cars, and then you build up and earn more money. Although I'm still not convinced that buying a 1960s rally prepped Mini Cooper S would cost like a fifth of what it would cost to get like a 1990s car. I'm pretty sure those have got to be quite rare at this point, but I'll kind of let that slide. But like, I really struggled. I was like, God, this is really hard. Well, it was hard because it's like a small, like almost like prototype thing, front wheel drive car trying to go over dirt tracks and stuff when it's got like that much ground clearance. That's why it was hard. As soon as I quit that and went and set up my own different rallies with like my own hand-picked stages with different cars, I couldn't do rear wheel drive because they just slid off the fucking road at every single corner. It was like I tried to do a power slide and the car would end up just spinning out of control off the track, and I was like, okay, well, rear wheel drive, I'll leave that. As soon as I got into four-wheel drive, it was better. As soon as I got into the 2010 cars, four-wheel drive, I could actually play the game, which is why in the video, I pretty much just go for four-wheel drive cars because it was the best way to actually show some of the stages off. But it feels like they've put a lot of care into it, and I'm not... to be honest, I'm not really sure why it's early access. I can only assume because they're an independent developer. They don't
want money for it, yeah.
They publish out, like, from themselves. They want to get some... get something back before it's finished, which is just becoming the norm.
I mean,
I guess
I always go on about this, but is it like an age thing as well? Because I found myself when I was watching your video back, like I even tweeted like, "Shit, I need this steering wheel from Logitech and a sim cell." It's like I would never have even like entertained that game in the past. We can both drive, but I just like I would never have thought that would be. It's like F1 games as well. Which again is from Codemasters, ain't it? The F1 game. Now I kind of see myself being a bit more like interested in those type of games, like with playing World of Warships, which I'm going to say, even though it's arcadey, it's still something that would appeal to an older person, or Naval Action, for example.
Naval Action is a really good example of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think
is that even fair to say, or is it just because I've opened my horizons a bit more when it comes to gaming? If I did this at a younger age, would I have just had the same reaction? I don't know. But then, like I said, I probably wouldn't have done.
I don't know, because I mean, I was never interested in racing sims. I was always interested in arcade races. I was interested in the fact that you could go really fast, easily around a track against other people. The idea of actually just doing a full rally stage by myself in like a true to real life 1980s four-wheel drive rally car, I'd just be like, no, I don't like the idea of that. And yet, when I actually played it and sat down and tried it, I'm still playing it. Like I recorded the video and then a bit later I played it again, and I'll probably play it again today because I want to get better at it. And I've never really had that with another... I guess I've never had it with another racer because all my other races have been stuff like Need for Speed and things where getting better isn't really a thing because it's not difficult to begin with.
Well, I've never even been interested really in playing races anyway. I mean, I've never really been like, I'm gonna play this dirt game or fucking Burnout Paradise or whatever. I was never like that, which is kind of weird. Although, yeah, I think, well, the other game, Mr. Kirioth, I've been playing is Mortal Kombat X.
Oh yes.
Now, I got a problem with PSN because it's totally shit.
Is it that it's shit?
Yeah. So in the day, like again, I streamed this, but the reason I want to talk about the stream because it was fucking stupid and it ties into the stream. It's about 10 a.m. Okay. Warner Brothers, here's a key, and here's the Goro DLC as well, and I'm like, fucking Goro DLC, you bastards. I'm not the biggest fighting game fan either, or a beat'em game, whatever the hell you call them these days. But I know Goro is integral to the fucking Mortal Kombat story, so what the hell is behind a paywall? Blah. But anyway, they give me all the shit. So I put all the codes into the PSN, click go, and it's like 38 minutes remaining on the download of about fucking some stupid 30 gig odd game, okay? Like, it's a bit more than 38 minutes. I think it was 38 gig, and let's just say about an hour or something to download. Fine. Which, the line should be faster anyway, but whatever, an hour, it's fine. I leave the PS4 on all day, bloke, right? So I think it's finished, don't I? I think that the download is finished. The game is even showing up as playable and everything, and I'm like, it's fine. Go into the stream, click play. I don't want to play multiplayer because I know I'd get destroyed. I don't want to play the tutorial because I know I would get stuck on move combos because I wouldn't do it fast enough or something. You know, simply because I don't play these games, okay?
Yeah.
Story mode's grayed out. I'm like,
Oh,
what's going on? Like, I'm in the chat on the stream, and I'm just like, chat, what the fuck? And they're trying to find out what the problem is. They're like, we don't think it's out for the PC yet, the storyline. No, this is PS4 I've got. They're like, maybe you need to do the tutorial. So I went and did the tutorial, which was took me like an hour to do the tutorial because it was like asking me for like simplistic moves, but they had to be done like in a perfect sequence really fast. Else
the tutorials for Mortal Kombat games are crap anyway because it's like it gives you it tells you what buttons to press, but it doesn't explain things like, well, if you use that attack to start it, then you're gonna have to move forward 2 steps to do the follow up.
Yeah,
it's just like just press these buttons and you do it, and it's like, no, you failed it because you didn't hit them the second time. It's like he's on the other side of the goddamn screen. How am I supposed to do that? But it never explains it. It is not good.
Well, anyway, I got stuck in that, so I was getting really frustrated at this point. Then I started searching the internet, like, where the hell is the single player? Because I know Mortal Kombat games have stupid single player campaigns, and I just wanted to play an over the top single player campaign.
They're really quite good, to be honest. I like them.
Well, turns out when I go to the download list, the game's still downloading, and it's got about 8 gig to go, and it's downloading at a rate where it'd be finished in about 10 hours, and I'm like, I got 152 meg download, and you'll give me a download speed of about, you know, something equivalent to a 5 meg download line, and I'm like, this is horrendous. So I paused it, pressed play, and it went down to about an hour left. I'm like, well, that's interesting, isn't it? I just paused the download, so I gambled again, and I never got that speed again. It just got worse and worse, and then I was really annoyed because then it meant what I had to do was go and play multiplayer. So I did. We'll go and play multiplayer, and this is where my rant continues. Multiplayer for this game is atrocious because it takes ages to find a game. There's a load of different modes, all right. So, oh no, I played the tower mode, which again is a Mortal Kombat thing anyway. You got the tower, and one of them was crazy because it had like a random effect, and every level you got the tower, it adds another random effect. So you start off with 1, then 2, then 3, and they could buff you or buff the other guy or debuff you or do something crazy to you, and it was like it made for some really crazy fights. That did, and it was pretty good. Again, it was single player. Anyway, go to multiplayer. I click like versus, go, and I sit there for 3 minutes while it tries to find a game. And I'm like, this is what the hell is going on. It matches me with a guy. I'm ranked nothing. This guy is ranked 50 something, and it's got this thing which is a percentage of win. Like your chance to win. It was 1%. I was like, well, that's disheartening. I got a 1% chance against this guy. He beat the shit out of me in round 1. Round 2, I took off him, and round 3, he almost like flawless fucking victoried me, but I managed to like tickle him a bit. And I was like, okay, I've been wrecked, right? It felt like playing StarCraft 2, where you go on the ladder and you're dead, and it's like, well, okay,
God, yeah.
You know, that type of like, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying my best, but this guy has fucking ruined me. So I went in again, and I never won. I played about 10 games. I never won any of them. I lost every single one. Some were close, but, you know, I never played anyone who was my level. It was always some insane person. The highest chance of victory the game gave me was 11%, and in that game, I actually got completely destroyed. I didn't even have a chance, which was mad. So then I was like, well, there's a different multiplayer mode. I'll give that a go. King of the Hill. And it was like 5 players get together, and, you know, whoever wins stays on, like, and you just keep going and you keep going. Only there's a problem with this, because when you're in the lobby waiting for your turn, you get to see nothing. You just get to hear the audio.
You don't see the fight?
You don't see the fight. Like, I was losing my shit. I was like, there's like a box where you would think the game would be, and then there's the player names down the side. But it's just the Mortal Kombat logo, and it has the health bars, and it just shows the health bars going down, and you hear the sound effects, but you don't actually see the fight going on. But you can hear everybody else in the lobby talking to you, and I'm just like, is this real? I'm not. This is shit.
That sounds like just a broken feature. If there's a box there for it, it's like, ship it without?
No, the box was there, but the box was like, it had like the Mortal Kombat logo like embossed into it, and it had the health bars. It was almost like, we ain't got the bandwidth to show you the fight.
Oh, so it was actually designed to just be like
it was designed for it. It wasn't just like a box that had nothing in, and it was just health bar. It was like, this is part of the UI sort of thing, and I was like, this is bad.
That's poor. You know, that is piss poor.
So I came out of that after about a minute of when I realised what was going on. But the game itself is quite enjoyable. Like, I don't think it's like a pure fighter, is it? It's not like Street Fighter. Like, I don't think you're going to get like esports with this game in that
I
sense.
don't think I think
It's
it's
kind
had
of like that. You know that superhero one, the DC one.
Yeah. Like, what was that called? What was that? I can't remember what it's called now. We played it, didn't
Yeah,
we?
it's
Face
something
on
like
Friday.
Batman and bloody.
Un something, unleashed or unfinished, or I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was unfinished, was it?
Oh, God knows. But yeah, like it plays well. It feels quite snappy. It feels like it looks nice. Things like the X-ray attacks. This kind of annoyed me a bit because I was playing as I played as Sub-Zero the most. I played a bit of Scorpion because I could do get over here, but it just pulls them to you and you slap them and whatever. But and I played as Goro. Now for Goro and Sub-Zero, because I remember their X-ray attack thing, you got the little power bar which builds up, right? And as it builds up to the first bar, you can then do a I think it might be called a power break or something, but it means that when you're getting attacked and you shouldn't be able to block, you can block suddenly, like, but it uses all that power, so it will like get out of that like chain of attacks they're doing to you, like that Lin Kuei guy with his bicycle kick, wow, and he goes like that and kicks you in the head, like you can't get out of that, and he just keeps hitting you, and it's like Jesus Christ, but you could like break it sort of thing if you did that. Then when it gets to the second one, I think you could do it twice, but when it gets to the third bar, you can then do the X-ray attack where you just hold down. Let me check. It's R2 and R1, like the big triggers. If you're playing on the PS4, hold them down, and your character will go, and it'll set on fire. Like they all do the fire thing for some reason. And then when you release, you'll jump at them. But if they block, right, if they just do a normal block, then it doesn't take effect. Now you have to actually sit down and do it, and then come in. Like it's not like an instant, like suddenly I'm doing the X-ray attack. So you would see the visual cue, and if you get good at these games, and you know obviously people who are good at these games, I guess it doesn't happen that much in multiplayer because they're just gonna like block it and like, well, what's that? And then they're just gonna kick you in the head. But when they went off, Sub-Zero's, he gets them, rips their intestines out, freezes them into a spear, and sticks it in their head. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that sounds pretty good. Well, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's all he does. There's just one move.
It's the same every time.
It's just that's it. Like every time he did it, it was the same one, and I'm like, now either I'm a complete nab and I was like always attacking the same area or something, and it was always doing the same type of attack. I did it with Goro a few times as well, and again, it was the same thing. Goro would grab them, hold them, twist them, and snap the spine, and then he'd like slap them about a bit, and then get the head and like snap it back like that, and then throw them on the floor, and it looked really good. Yeah. But that's all he did every time he did it, and it's like. Also, that would be fatal. I mean, obviously, Sub-Zero's would be fatal as well. But the fighter just gets back up and carries on. It's like, get the fuck out of it. And the fatalities. I never performed the fatality because I didn't know the moves. Obviously, I didn't really have much of a chance, especially in multiplayer, because I was getting fatalityed all the time. There are variations of them, and they did look pretty good. But you know, I do want to go back and play the single player game, and I'm very tempted to do it on a stream. Just because I just want to see what it's like. Because I think now I would be good enough to do the single player on normal. Yeah. Because I did the tower on normal. Like I went all the way up to the top of the tower. Multiplayer though, I don't know the combos. Like there's special combos where if you do them faster, you can do like different like you can really like start juggling people in the air and all kinds of shit. And it's like I can't do that. Yeah. And in multiplayer, they do that to me and waste half my health. I'm like, Christ.
You'd be able to do the single player easily because the single player has like each person you fight has like a pattern of moves that they kind of follow through the same pattern. When I did the single player in Mortal Kombat 9, I struggled with there were two people I struggled with. The crazy Indian guy whose name I can't remember. He's like a Native American Indian, complete with feathers, and he like threw spectral daggers and shot spectral bows at me. I struggled with him quite a lot, and the very last boss I struggled with. Until I just like gave up and I just had a look at Google and I was like, how the hell did you beat this guy? And someone just said, oh yeah, every time he kicks down low, just block it and you can then just punch him in the head. And that's all he does. And it's like, all of them, when I look back at it, I was like, yeah, they all just did like a single pattern of attacks, which kind of felt a bit lazy. But then again, I was playing it on normal. So
yeah, it
could be if you put the difficulty up, then they'd be a lot harder. But honestly, I think, for me, I got my money's worth from Mortal Kombat 9 just doing the single player because the story's stupid and ridiculous, and it's like it's really cheesy, but it's also like full of gore and just like it's just really over the top. And of course, there's deaths everywhere. Like no character is sacred in Mortal Kombat, is it? Because you can You know, you
No,
can
they
just wreck everybody.
Yeah. And they
So all
just
the way
come
through
back
this,
anyway, don't they?
yeah, it's like all the way through the story. It's like someone will just walk in, you'll fight him, and then he'll get like, you know, his leg will be ripped off and stuck up his arse, and then he'll be set on fire and thrown down a hole. And it's like, yeah, welcome to the first level, and that's like the introduction. And it's like, I don't know, I kind of.
Well, they had
I'm
these
kind of tempted
interactable
by that,
objects on the maps, like, and a lot of them were sort of like, oh, you burn your bar as well. Your crazy like power bar thing would, once you got one bar of that, like you could use one bar. Well, you could have a maximum of 3, but you could use one on an interactable object when you were near it, like, and they do a special thing. Most of them were like things you could jump off, so you could quickly jump over the other person, or like, you know, change your direction, sort of thing. But some of them would be like things you would attack the enemy with. So one of them, you get like, you grab their head and you smash it into like this tombstone thing, and they drop on the floor. And it did quite a bit of damage, but obviously you had to bait them into it. Another one is like a jungle vine. You can like grab the vine and kick them in the head and like, you know, do all the mental shit. One of them is like a branch where you just pull off and smash around the head. There's like fire things you can chuck at people and stuff like that. Yeah. The one that made me laugh the most was this like slave pit one, and there's like slaves watching, and one's like this old granny, and as I was near her, she lit up, and I grabbed her, and like Sub-Zero just picked her up by the legs and just smashed her into the guy I was playing, and like she like broke in half. It was like, what the hell? It's like, it's just so ridiculous. But like it did make me smile when I was playing the game. You know, it was really stupid to play. It was just like we said at the start of this cast, it was just like, it was really fun to play. It was annoying because the multiplayer was shit, and it was annoying because like I couldn't play the single player. But it was just stupid. It was just like, what the fuck, you know, is going on? I've just hit somebody with a granny, and the granny's splitting off, and what? I've just put someone's frozen intestine through their head. It's like, what? You know, it's just stupid.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what that series of games does best, and that's the thing I like about them. It's the same thing with like I think my guilty pleasure really when it comes to gaming, like of all the games that I play, my guilty pleasure is definitely Soul Calibur, because those games are cheesy as fuck. Like they're just like, they're silly, and not in a kind of, they know they're being silly way. It feels like they're trying to take it seriously, but they're the only ones who are. You know, the people who make it are the only ones who are sitting there going, this is super serious game. Everyone else is going, oh look, that's like a dude made of animated armor with a giant sword that looks like it's made out of meat. That's stupid. But the creators are like, yes, it's very serious. The storylines in that are terrible. Like, they're just outright bad. Each character's got its own story, and you play through the story like with each character to find out what's happening to each of them. It's not good, but it's just kind of like, it's just fun. It's not a particularly great game. From what I gather, it's not got like the highest regard when it comes to fighting games, especially amongst pro players. It's not like anyone's sitting there going, yeah, I'm a professional Soul Calibur 5 player. Because everyone's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it makes you smile when you play it. And I think that just needs to be the criteria for some games. Like, they don't all have to be art, do they? It's like something like Mortal Kombat or Soul Calibur, or like Space Marine, for instance. Space Marine was not like high art, but it was a giant guy in power armor using a chainsaw on orcs, which is absolutely all you need for that type of game.
I am like, I don't think I would ever get into the I wouldn't become addicted to the multiplayer in that type of game, but I will probably go back and play the single player, as I say. But I guess so. I don't know. I mean, the other games I've played this week, I mean, it's basically older stuff, I guess. I did play Darkest Dungeon and stuff like that, but which actually the running again was on the stream for the subscriber thing we do on a Sunday. I'm like in week 10 and I've got no deaths, and I don't even know how that's possible. Like, I've got like an amazing team, like everybody, and I've got loads of items.
I've never got
to
like, week 10 without losing someone, or at least have someone like walk away from the team. I've never
somebody
had
usually
that.
dies on the first dungeon anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, everybody's like a fucking beast. It's just ridiculous. I mean, there was a point where I almost lost the entire team, and I think it's the Jester or somebody I've got. He's like a bard. But he just fucking went on a killing spree. I was like, well, okay then. Like, you know, it's like his crit chance was like 7%, and there's this big guy, and he runs in and hits him for like 40 damage and kills him. I'm like, well, crit, hello, 7%. Well, I'll take it. You know, it was just stupid. But I do like that game. I do kind of like it's like FTL and stuff like that. Do enjoy playing through them every now and again. But Mr. Kirioth, I think we're going to call it that. This has been the Pubcast, which is our bit of a spin-off show, which is more of a laid-back approach to our podcast format, where instead of going into massive detail on topics and debating what's going on in the game industry, We just talk about what we've played, and it gives us a chance to go into more detail on what we've played, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. But I'm still going to say this is still an experimental idea. If it doesn't take too well, then we'll see about changing it up. But obviously, give us feedback in the comments below on what you think about this video. Is it enjoyable to listen to? Is it pointless? I don't know. Because I mean, really, it's just me and you talking to each other. So
yeah, we'll obviously read all the comments because we want to get feedback. And as with anything new that we try out, it'd be good to know what you think about it and whether you think it works and if there's any improvements we could make.
All right, guys. Well, I've been Stylosa and Kirioth, and we'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.